rid of family. So, so I'm grateful to be a part of such an awesome company. The gala was designed to get you here, and we would like you to spend as much money in the store as possible. We'd like you to take home a Traeger. We'd like you to take home 2 Webers, several tools, cookbook, seasoning, ice cream makers, and other things. So of course, the gala is an opportunity for you to get your summer supplies so that you can have a party all summer. But literally, I've loved working on Traegers. I've loved working on Webers. And they're a great, great source of outdoor cooking. And I have both, and I have them side by side. And so today's little class, I just wanted to actually talk about why you would use the smoker and why you would use the Weber or the char grill, to make sure that we understand the difference of technology. The Traeger is a slow cook smoke process, and the Weber is designed for char grilling experience, meaning a higher temperature and more char flavor, quicker. It's just a little different science. And so I wanted to first ask some questions and have a quiz. I'm going to say a piece of meat, and you're going to say what it's going to be best cooked on. Okay? Whether it's going to be best cooked on the Weber or best cooked on the Traeger. Okay? Pork butt, which is a pork shoulder. It's not a butt at all. It's going to be best on the Traeger. Why? Slow. Low and slow. You're going to try to cook a piece of meat on a char grill? This big? I don't think so. Okay, and how long will a shoulder take?
10 hours.
10 hours if you go all the way in the Traeger. If you tent it, maybe put it in the oven after 5 or 6 hours, which a lot of people do. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a moisture thing, to be honest, and I think it's a good idea. But yeah, it takes a long time. Smoking is a hobby. It's an experience. It's a project. It's not, oh my gosh, I'm hungry, I gotta eat fast. Okay, the chicken for your tasting after this class is already on the smoker. But the flank steak's sitting right here because it's going on the grill. So there's a difference, okay? Next piece of meat. Pork loin. Pork loin. This is a trick question. Trick question. Both. Why? Because if you want to do a whole pork loin, not cut into chops or steaks, then it's going to be best to be on the smoker, in my opinion. Can you do it on the Weber? Absolutely. You can turn it on low. That's the great thing about the Weber, is the heat is so consistent compared to other grills that you might find at Lowe's or Home Depot, which I never said that. Okay? But Webers are amazing. They're like, they're just amazing. And you want to make sure that the reason why they're amazing, a couple things that I really like about them is the iron that covers the fire grate is thicker than a normal one that, I should say a little less valued one. And they are able to conduct the heat more evenly. Okay? But if you take the pork loin and you chop it into chops or steaks, put it on the Weber real quick. 20 minutes, you're good. Mopping it, maybe even marinated. Beautiful. You can do it really nice. If you're going to do the whole piece and you want low and slow and you want some good smoke and you want to carve that whole piece, carve it up like a brisket or something, then I would move it over there. So what I'm trying to get at is each piece of meat is going to do better either over here or over here. And both units can cook both things. It's just a matter of thanks. I think we should probably pull the heat on these cakes. I think they're done. They're not done? Okay. So the Traeger can go up to 400 degrees, but it's still not the same heat as a grill. A grill has lots of fire and lots of flame coming, and Traegers only have one small chamber in the middle that heats a big diffuser. That big diffuser metal plate is what conducts the heat through the entire oven. And so it's not the same. And you can't expect it to do the same things. So today I wanted to not do smoking versus grilling, although it kind of is like that sometimes, but it's never like that for me. When I'm at my house, it just depends on what I'm cooking, if I go to the Weber or if I go to the smoker. And usually, because I like a lot of food, I usually do both. So I'll usually start my whole chickens on the smoker, 3.5, 4 hours ahead of time and just let that go. And then I'll do my steaks on the weber right before service. Because the steak on the smoker, you can do it. And yeah, I've had a good steak off the smoker, but I'm telling you, you'll never beat a steak off the Weber on high heat with the char. Oh my gosh, it's just unbelievable. That's what we were born and raised with. If you want to have that smoke, yeah, you can do a low smoke for a half an hour and then you can put it on the Weber. Or a lot of them will say you can turn it up and get that sear, but it's not designed to sear. So it's just one of those things. So for me, I like them both, and I like them side by side. And I'm not trying to take all your money today, just most of it. Okay? All right, so let's get serious about now meat going onto the smoker or the grill. All right, first, we'll start with the flank steak. The flank steak I chose because this meat I wouldn't necessarily smoke, although you could. But this meat is flank. It's pretty tough. It's pretty chewy. And it's got a lot of fibrous strands to it. So, and the other reason I like to show you flank is because you can actually see the grain. So you can see the lines going up and down this flank, right? You can see this very easily on flank, okay? Those are the grains of the meat, or the actual protein strands that make up the muscle itself. That is what a grilling cook needs to understand, is which way the grains are going, how we cut our steak, and so forth. So we would never cut this meat with the grain, because that's when it becomes chewy and you get these strings in your mouth. It's no bueno. Okay? There's some certain things you can do to meat that you can do to tenderize it, make it a little softer, make it a little better when you cook. We sell these meat tenderizers. These are fantastic, especially if you're a hunter. I know there's a couple wannabe hunters in the crowd right now today. There's some good friends of mine that think they can hunt, but they usually come back empty. But anyways, this is really good for like elk and venison and things like that. So I'm just going to take this knife. This is called dricarding. So you want to dricard that flank. And what that's doing is breaking up those tissues. Okay? And you're breaking them up. Why? So that when it goes in your mouth, it's tender. So I just do that. The other thing, the reason why I like to do that is because this will allow a couple little holes for maybe some of the marinade to go down and actually get into the grooves, and get all happy and have a little party. All right, so now we're going to put a little bit of Chef Todd on this. This is a seasoning we sell right here. I would say this is our house seasoning here at Giggy. But if we put a little Chef Todd on this, sprinkle that on like that, oh, baby. Rub that in. A little bit of garlic. Oh, mama, look at that. Woo! Basil. Okay, a little fresh thyme. Salt, a little extra salt. Pinch of extra pepper. And it matters how high you go. You know, it's important because you want a nice even seasoning on it. Okay, so what have I done? Tenderized, flavored. Everything I've put on so far is flavoring. Okay, so now we're going to put this back in the bowl. Next, we're going to put, you don't have one? You don't have one? Sorry, I should have. Oh, maybe it is. No. Next, we're going to put on another secret, the acid. So first, when you marinate or get your meat ready, you want flavor. Second thing you want to add is acidity, acid. Today I've chosen balsamic because it's just the sweetest, most heavenly little vinegar in the whole wide world. I just love balsamic. So balsamic, the best is to go to Italy and bring it home with you. But if you want a tour guide, I'm available third week of July through the first week of August. I'm happy to go. All expenses paid. I can show you around a few places. Buy balsamic, one for you, one for me. Okay, so now you take some balsamic and you kind of coat that, but you don't want to drown it. You just want enough to flavor it. Okay, so we've got that lightly coated. I'm going to kind of drain it off, put some underneath, let all those flavors come together. Happy. Okay, and then last but certainly not least is the fat, which I don't have my olive oil for some reason. I got that. But I'm just going to sub butter. I'm actually going to baste with butter, but I'm going to put a little bit of butter on here. Might solidify a little bit, but usually I'll use olive oil, put on there as well. So flavor, you want to put flavor on your meat, then some acidity. Could be as simple as lime juice, could be a favorite vinegar, and it doesn't have to be a lot. And I'm not marinating today and cooking on Tuesday. Yeah, questions?
Where that guy moved?
You make a better cake cook than a window, brother. Love you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, so, question.
So, question about the tenderizer. I've read that in some cuts of meat you don't want to use it because it can contaminate the inner part if you're not bringing it up high enough. Do you usually only use that on thinner cuts? Or like, since you're
Great, that's a great thing, and actually I've never done it that way, but usually, so I'll just tell you a true religion, I do Jacquard all our steaks. But our steaks come in primals, so they're the whole strip loin or the whole culotte, and then we actually trim them. So bacteria is growing more on the outside, yes, and so by taking that you can force it into the inside, but I've never died yet, and I think it's perfectly okay as long as your meat is fresh. If your meat is green, you probably ought to put a second opinion on whether you should eat it or not. But if you're using fresh meat, which this is very fresh flank, very delicious, no sliminess, no smell, it's very delicious. So remember, fresh, fresh, fresh. But yeah, that is a true story that can happen. But it's pretty rare that it would. You would have to have a pretty bad meat that has a lot of bacteria on the outside. And if it smells or has a discoloration, I probably wouldn't Jacquard it. I would probably cook it thoroughly and then maybe serve it to your dog. But just make sure that it's fresh, okay? So, I actually got this at Smith's. Not everybody carries flank, and so Winco didn't have it. Harmon's actually didn't have it, which is really rare. And my third store I went to was Smith's, and I found flank. I also have some flat irons that I found too. These are the flat irons. The flat irons actually come from the front shoulder, the chuck area. That's a muscle that you pull off the chuck, and the shoulder is this big piece of meat. It's probably 15 to 20 pounds. But there's lots of different muscles going through the chuck, and flat iron actually comes from the front shoulder. It's a muscle from the chuck. And so it is chewy. It's very similar to this. I wanted to show you what a classic London broil is. That's why we're going to do it on the charcoal. Okay, so I'm marinated. I'm happy. Everybody got that? Any other questions on the flank? So now I'm ready to go. Why do I want to do that? Because flavor? Yeah, of course. I want to flavor and enhance. But the real reason why I'm doing this is because, guys, you're going to the desert. You're going to 500 degrees. You got to put the suntan lotion on. You got to rub it down and protect it, because this dude is going to freak out when I hit 500 degrees on that weather. You know what I mean? Don't forget to rub it in. A little bit of suntan. Okay, you're in the desert, so you got to make sure that the desert doesn't ruin what you're trying to do. So, you can see on the Weber grills, compared to other grills, we'll just label them other grills, the iron is like the size of my finger. Quality, okay? The Weber has seriously nice iron. You can put a piece of fish on there, cooks no problem. They're not these little things that are going to warp and bend and twist and get overused in a matter of 10 days, 10 uses. This Weber will literally last you 10 years without even batting an eye because of the quality. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. So now we're going to take our flanks. Look at that. That's exactly what you want to have happen. We're going to take that flat iron, okay? We're going to start rocking and rolling with this baby. Turn the heat up. Turn the radio on. Okay, flat irons. You guys thought you were going to just come and have to chew on the grass, but we're going to be eating steak here, people. Okay, get a little bit on you. This is a technique that I use in marriage counseling. Okay, this is a very good technique to come in smelling like a grill. Yeah. Let's check our cake. Oh, that's. Yeah, they're done now. Take the lids completely off, put the coals on here. Take them inside. You can just do that, just take the lids off, make sure there's no heat on the bottom either. Oh, there it is. Okay, now we're gonna work on chicken. So, everybody saw that?
Question.
Yeah, question.
So if you marinate your flank steak, what step does that take here? If you marinate your flank steak, is that for flavoring?
That's for flavoring and suntan lotion.
Okay.
So what does the oil do? The fat or the olive oil helps protect it. That's the suntan oil. Okay? That's going to create a beautiful shine and a wonderful finish instead of burning and charring. Okay? That's the difference. Alright? So, marinating, you don't have to marinate your steak. You do not have to marinate your steak. I'm teaching you to be prepared for the desert and for the conditions into which you will be entering. You and your piece of meat. And you are a unit. You are a family. You need to take care of each other. So I suggest that you put suntan lotion on in some form or fashion. Now, while that steak is cooking, I have some melted butter here, and this is an additional suntan lotion. And once I turn them, then I'm going to start mopping them with butter. And get the butter in there and let it caramelize and let it tenderize and let that fat do its job. Okay? Everybody repeat after me. Don't be a flop.
Don't be a flop.
Use your mop.
Use your mop.
Oh, baby. I love it. I love it. Okay.
We have mops.
Anybody thirsty? Anybody got a Mountain Dew? All right, next. Chicken. In the world of chicken, I wanted to teach you a little something different. This isn't barbecue chicken. This isn't baby bass, smothered chicken, make your grill all dirty. This is a little India-infused chicken, tandoori-style chicken. Tandoori is actually an oven where they cook naan bread, where they grill. It's a hot fire cavity. It's almost like a small pizza oven, but the bread you can stick to the sides of the walls, the naan bread, and it cooks. And they have this poke, and they poke it and grab it off, and that's the naan bread. But Indian-style chicken, to me, is just flavor, 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 and I'll tell you why. They start with garlic. You think that's a lot, but that's normal. Okay? Ginger. So, take ginger, put it in your food processor, use your knife and chop it up really, really good, and then put that in there. Okay? Now get that garlic and ginger pushed into the meat. Now if this was a bone-in thigh or bone-in leg, I would take my chef's knife and I would put some slit cuts into those legs and thighs so that my garlic and ginger can get down into those cavities and really fortify flavor. So you can see, I got garlic and ginger surrounding this little love potion. Okay? Hold on. My alarm went off. Oh, baby! Okay, we can turn all that. Okay, that's Scooby Snack in a minute. That's what I'm showing you right now. Okay, now we're going to take our seasonings. That's one thing about Indian style cooking that I love, is their seasonings, their spices. It's amazing. It's almost like their religion. It's their culture, okay? So, turmeric, interesting to note. If you didn't know what turmeric was, it's like ginger. It's a root, okay? We buy turmeric dried, powdered. Looks like that. We want to add some turmeric. This is going to give you flavor and color. What makes mustard yellow? Turmeric. Okay? This is garam masala, which is an Indian curry. It's their main Indian curry paste. Okay? We're going to put some garam masala in there. It's got coriander. It's got some other spices. It's got cumin in it. A lot of those flavors. Salt. Pepper. Regular cumin, just a shot. Paprika. Quite a bit. Cayenne. A little bit of heat. I think that's it. Okay, now mix that up again. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of seasoning. I'm going to die. Somebody get me a glass of water as fast as you can. Rodney, I'm looking at you. I put ketchup on his eggs the other day and he freaked out. Too spicy. Okay, now you can see I've created a nice spice, but look at the flavor attached to that chicken thigh. Okay? It's not normal that I hold my thighs up. But I got my seasoning all over that chicken thigh. It's really pushed in. The flavor is really awesome, really beautiful. Okay, now what you want to do is a lot of lime juice. Okay? Sorry, alarm went off. Who's cooking over here? Flip them over, they're ready. Guys, phase one, look at that. Caramelized deliciousness. They're all ready to be flipped. And you can see that caramelization and that smoke, guys. Grilling always is smoky. Look at the smoke that we create in and of itself. Okay? And this isn't wood smoke. This is meat smoke. This is tar smoke. There's a difference. I got it on pretty much high right now. Because this is a London broil. I want the caramelization, but it has to be served medium rare, medium rare. Because it's a chewy piece of meat. So chewy cuts of meat, you want to char and then have it a little bit rare on the inside because then it's still kind of soft. Does that make sense to you? That's why I chose flank so you can kind of see that. Plus I needed a meat that I could tenderize and show you some tenderizing options. And you can buy that cheap cut, inside round steaks. These grocery stores are doing inside round steaks. I'm like, inside round steak? You want me to eat leg for a steak? I don't think so. Okay? So if you're going to eat leg for a steak, you better invest in one of those tenderizers before you go home today. Okay? Leg should be in a crock pot for like 2 days. Leg. We eat loins, people, for steak, right? Tenderloin, strip loin, sirloin. Those are your steaks. Ribeye. Those are your main cuts of meat. But because I'm poor, I usually end up eating this other stuff.
How long are you cooking it on each side?
As soon as my alarm goes off, which is in about 2 minutes, he just flipped them. I'm going to pull them off in a minute. We're going to need to get a sheet pan for those. We're going to eat here in about 10 to 15 minutes. Those are all turned over there. God is good right now. God is good. Oh, yeah. But guess what? Grilling is not a timing issue. It's this. It's this. It's this. Okay? But I'm going to show you some signs right now. Okay? So we got our chicken, right? Our chicken's looking good. Okay? We've got lime juice in there. We've got like 8 spices. Now I've got the lime juice in there. Let that sit for a half an hour. Okay? Half an hour's over. Add your yogurt. Yogurt? You're putting yogurt on my chicken? What in the world? Yeah, I am. So now we take the yogurt. Look at all that. We stir this up. You want to talk about suntan lotion? I just mastered it right here. Tandoori chicken. That's going to be heaven on earth. Okay, that goes on the grill. That can sit though. You should marinate that for about an hour. A little bit more than an hour. No, well, we can put it on there. Is that fired up? Okay. Signs of doneness. Everybody? What is this? I think I'm swelling up. Look at this muscle. Okay. Take your muscle right here. Push on that. Okay, that's raw. You see the give? See how it feels? As your steak or your protein coagulates, actually starts to cook, it won't be like that. But see, that's the same push as right here. It's the same push because it's still a little bit rare. Okay? So I've got it on high, which is good. I want to because I want to char that outside. Another thing. See the juices starting to come? That little devil right there is almost ready. Okay? So that little devil's going up because it's a little bit thinner. These flanks are ready. Okay? Except for on the dang flank steak, beefs don't grow them consistent. I talked to them. I tried to change their feed, but they've got a thin side and a fat side. So you got your well done people and your rare people. Yeah! Got it? Okay, so you just got to have that on there. But you can see that beautiful char is beautiful. and wonderful, and that's just how we roll. Now I'm going to shut her down because we're going to eat in about 4, 5, 10 minutes. I don't want them to overcook. Okay, so that's that. Now we're going to go over to this side. Is there a tong over there? Now we're going to go over to this side. We're going to talk about the smoker. So the smoker, the cool thing about these is, guess what? You can't turn them up. These have been on since 9:30. Okay, if I put them on the Weber at 9:30, we would eat what you call chicken jerky. Okay, because the Weber is not this. This is a wuss when it comes to heat. That is a powerhouse. That is a Peterbilt. This is a Dodge Cummins. Oh, dear me. Sorry about that. I knew I would get a nerve on that one. I knew it. Or that is a Duramax. This is a Cummins. Okay? Oh, dear me. All right. So I've got it on 350, but it'll go higher. But I wanted to just slow cook it. I wanted to get a smoke on it, and it's going to be about 1 hour and 10 minutes on the smoke. Chicken, yeah, you can go 2.5 hours. And remember, this is a boneless thigh. I did that for timing and easy for cutting and serving all of you wonderful people. But you got to remember that it's just slower, it's more gentle, and to be honest with you, if you're not a very good griller, you should go to here because this is way more forgiving. Just plan on 2 extra hours because it just takes longer. Okay? But if you plan ahead, you want to eat dinner at 6, put your meat. You know, I do whole chickens all the time. It's one of my favorite things. You can get 2 whole chickens from Walmart for $10, $11, $12. 2 whole chickens feed my family 3 meals. I love them. They're so delicious and they're so easy. I take the whole chicken, put all my stuff that's going bad in the fridge in it, all my lemons and celery that have been in there for weeks, shove it down in the cavity. All the aromatics start to go. I season it with Chef Todd, put some oil on it, put a little lemon juice on it, and give it a little kick. Put it on the grill. On the smoker, shut the door, 4 hours. Really good before church and after church. Got it? The 3-hour block change kind of screwed us up on that one. Okay? I wrote a letter, but it didn't do any good. But you can see some of these pieces on the smoker are even getting a little caramelized because of the heat. I've raised it. I don't usually like to go blast these things. I think it's hard on them. I don't usually go over 375, 400 max. When I first got mine, I'm like, look, I can cook burgers on it. And I would crank it all the way up. And the thing's like, the machine's like, dude, this is not what I'm built for. Shut it down, turn the lever on. Okay? Can you put a burger on there? Sure. It just takes a little longer and it still eats good. It's still delicious. But I'd put a burger on a Weber over that any day. I'd put a piece of chicken on this over that any day. But the Weber does chicken great. It's just a little different. So the science behind the two, the technology behind the two, in my opinion, cooking on both for many years, is just what you want. Different strokes for different sauce. Okay? So the good news is the chicken's getting done. Okay, we can put those on. Here's a glove. I just put a glove on and then throw it away. All right. Any questions? Grilling and smoking. Now, guys, we could take days and days to do this, but we don't want to waste your valuable time shopping. Because I know there's a lot of books for you to buy, and pit seasonings, and Webers, and smokers, and Traegers. But any questions, guys, on smoking and grilling?
What pellets are you using under the Traeger?
This is a good question. Okay, does it matter if you use cherry wood, apple wood, mesquite, hickory? Does that matter to you guys? Like, are you guys like religious about that?
Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah.
Yeah.
But why? Tell me why.
It changes the entire flavor of it.
The entire flavor, because that's a big word, entire.
Yeah, it covers the whole piece of meat, so yeah, I'm going to call it
Entire flavor. That's a good comment. Any other comments on that? Okay. I just want to say that cherry wood, hickory, it's all wood. So it is perfuming a wood smoke. But the wood is different. And there is a certain flavor. Like if you smoke with pine, it'll be an unforgettable experience. I'm telling you. Because one day I had an old Weber smoker that you actually had to build a bloody fire in the bottom and all this malarkey. and there was a water pan and everything, and honestly, it's a really brilliant thing, but it's totally outdated, and I still have it, but I just never, it's too much work. You kidding me? Just plug in and go, right? But I just put some of my wood in there too. I had charcoal, but I'm like, I need some more fire. So I put a couple of our split logs, which is pine, and I'm telling you, that was an unforgettable dinner. Unforgettable. The whole place was like Christmas on fire. Okay? So the answer is yes. When it comes to these smoking woods, they are delicate, they are light, they're wonderful smoke flavor, not like you would, I've never seen cedar in a smoker. I've never seen pine in a smoker. Maybe we could start a new trend. Christmas special only. But yeah, it makes a difference. But if I put the same piece of chicken up with all kinds of different woods, which I'm going to do next year for sure, and I'm going to see if you can tell me which is which. I guarantee you won't be able to tell. But maybe you will. Maybe you're that good. But for me, I've paid attention to my palate, and I honestly can't tell that much, whether it's apple or that. But I'm an apple guy. I think it's a little sweeter. I think it's a little more gentle. Whatever. Cherry is very good as well. Any of those fruit trees I really like. But that's just my humble opinion, but there's not tons of, I just don't think there's this drastic flavor difference. But that's my opinion. Any other questions?
So it's not like a fillet, like a chopped fillet. You do chopped fillets on the smoker. How long would it take you to do it? Start with?
Chop fillet on the smoker?
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing, is you have options. Do you want to do it quick? Do you want to do it slow? Do you want a long smoke, slow smoke? Because this awesome machine will start at 160 to 180 fluctuation of smoking, and it'll go all the way to 420, 450. So it's up to you on what you want to do to that piece of fish. If it was me, I would put it on the lowest smoke setting, for 20 minutes. Then I'd crank that sucker up to 400 and get it just a tiny little bit of extra. And when I cranked it up, here comes the butter. Here comes the butter. Here comes the lemon juice. We're talking, here comes the butter. Just dousing that sucker with butter and lemon juice at 400. And you're just taking that mop and you're literally just mopping. Wait a minute, check this out. Here's the fish. Here's our steak. Look what we're doing. Woo! Woo! Look at that suntan lotion. Don't be a flop. Use your mop. Right there. You see that? Shut her down. She's done. Okay, everybody tracking? Does that answer your question? You have options. The technology is brilliant. Either technology you're going to win. But I strongly suggest both. Why have one when you can have both? You know what I'm saying? Because not everything is the same when it comes to grilling and smoking. Not every piece of meat is the same.
When you use a brine, you're a brine.
Oh, brine? Great question. So when do you use a brine? Great question. What is a brine? A brine. Why do you want a brine? Okay, well, would I want to brine a flank steak? No way. Okay? Flank steak isn't worth brining. It's worth doing exactly what we did to it. Would we want to brine a pork loin? Yes. Would we want to brine our turkey on Thanksgiving and then go to the smoker? Yes. You find a bucket like this. You get the brine recipe. You mix the brine recipe up in here. Sometimes you cook it, sometimes you don't. It just depends on whose recipe or whatever you're using. I've done it both ways work. Salt, sugar, flavorful liquid or water is your base. What other things can go in there? All kinds of aromatics, herbs, whatever. This is the time to go into your garden and make use of those herbs that you never use. Throw those in there. Do whatever you can. Let it sit for about 12 hours to 24. I usually don't go any longer than that because I don't want to taste brine. I want to taste meat. What is marinating in brine supposed to do? It's supposed to take our meat, our muscles, and put them on a podium and highlight them and make them beautiful and brilliant and sexy. But I've had over-marinated steaks, over-marinated chicken, and it's just like, wow, are you kidding me? Am I eating marinade or am I eating chicken? Okay? And by the way, acidity starts cure process. Salt starts cure process. These types of things you change the meat. Curing, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is ham is a cured meat. The texture of ham is cured meat. But ham is the butt of a pig, right? And the shoulder. Guess what? That's not how it is. Those meats eat just like pulled pork. But when you change it from pulled pork to ham, that's the whole curing process. It's brilliant, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's glorious. Guys, only at Orison Gigi are these secrets revealed. This is a top secret mission. Welcome to Orison Gigi. Welcome to 2022. Jayla, can I get an old baby? Orison. Orison. Oh baby. Any other questions? I think we're good. They want to eat.
Okay, I have a few things to give away. Do you want to see
Oh,
who
dear.
can answer a few of your questions, Todd?
Yeah.
What's a question you want to ask? Okay, I'll ask one. I have one. Whoever can raise their hand the fastest, Kelly, you gotta help me watch. His phrase, "Don't be a flop, use your..." Oh. I'm making Kelly be the bad guy.
I think it's over there in the gray.
Use your mop. So I've got a basting pot and a basting brush for you. Okay, next question. Todd recommends every kitchen should have what? A whipper or a Traeger? Who raised their hand first?
I think right here in the front.
Both. We get some Chef Todd's pit seasoning. If you guys have not ever used this, this is one of my favorite seasonings. It's perfect for chicken, steak. I put it on salad. It's